Whether you're from a seated position or child's pose, slowly start to bring yourself up in a kneeling position. If this is too much, then you can stay in your comfortable cross-legged pose. If your knees are quite high, you could place a block underneath them, or you can even take a block underneath the hips and just allow gravity and time to slowly start to bring those knees down. When you find that position, just take a moment here, taking your palms just on top of one another where the left palm faces up, placing them in your lap, closing the eyes, shoulders aligned to the hips, and then just take a moment here to tune in. If this is an add-on and you've been practicing already for over 20 minutes, or perhaps you're just coming out of a tune-in, we're just here for about 3 slow and mindful breaths. So in and out of the nose. Good. Slowly start to open the eyes. Bring the right ear to the right shoulder. Find a head nod while you're favoring the right side of your shoulder. And then shake out your head from side to side. Drawing that chin down toward the chest. 3 breaths where your head hangs forward. Bringing your head up to center, release the arms to the sides, 3 shoulder rolls, forward and up, inhale. Out of the mouth, back and down. Returning your palms, take the left ear to the left shoulder, head nod. Keep breathing in between these movements, and then taking that head, shaking it from side to side. Taking that chin down toward the center of the chest, 3 ujjayi breaths, in and out of the nose. This time, as you bring your head up to center, release the right palm to the side of your mat. Reach the left arm up toward the ceiling. You're welcome to stay static, or you could find a little bit of a pulse. And then slowly switch. Left palm down, right arm up. Find that static pose, or gently pulse. And then bringing yourself forward onto all 4s. Take a few cat-cows, just moving at your own pace. Just warming up that body. And shaking your head from side to side and the hips. Like a puppy dog, trying to look back. Imagine if you were to have a tail, finding that full release in through the side lateral plane of your spine. Lower down onto the forearms, and then slowly start to tuck your toes under. Hover the kneecaps off of the mat by 1 inch. Now we're going to be here for a little bit. Try to breathe in and out of the nose, starting to create heat inside of the body. Step your feet back, coming into that plank pose, still remaining on the forearms. You could always drop down to the knees if it's too much. And this next technique if you have any kind of injuries through the spine, you can skip it. If you're feeling okay, start to sway the hips from side to side. Perhaps they touch the mat. Maybe they don't. Let's go for 5 more. 4, 3, 2, holding that high plank position. And just like you started it, step the feet in, but still hover the knees off of the mat by an inch. You're here for 3, 2, knees down, quick stretch, reach the hips back, active child's pose, so the palms are grounded but the elbows are lifted, forehead to the mat here for 2 counts. Breathing right in between those shoulder blades. And then slowly from a tabletop, coming into a downward dog. Walking out those feet, shaking out the head, taking those big toes together to touch. And let's inhale the right leg up toward the ceiling here. You're going to hold for a little bit longer than usual. Now, for this hold today, you're stacking the right hip on top of the left. You're trying to keep that right leg straight, maybe even point the toes so you have activity coming throughout the entire leg. Try to ground your right shoulder blade down so your shoulders are square. Okay, taking just a few more breaths here. Keep squeezing your right glute. Try to bring that right leg a little higher in space. Doing your best to hollow out your belly so it pulls in and back toward your spine. You get some support there. And then you're again firing up the muscles in the back to push that chest toward the left thigh bone. Taking an inhale, squeeze to lift that leg higher. Stay in downward dog as you release the right leg down. Walk out your feet again, shake out the head. Let's try to take the eye line past your inner thighs. Try to pulse that chest, pulse the upper body a few times toward the legs. Walk the big toes together to touch, and we're just going to switch sides, reaching the left leg high. Stack the hips, and then do your best to squeeze the glute to lift that leg further up in space. Try to imagine if I came around your mat and I tried to lift up a finger, I shouldn't be able to. So firmly press all 10 of your knuckles down into the ground, and then pushing the mat away from you, create an opening in through the armpit area, creating space to reach the chest palate back. Muscles in the back are fired up here. Keep stacking the left hip on top of the right. There's a lot going on here, a lot of activity. And squeeze the left glute and lift the leg a little higher in space. You're here for just a few more breaths. Hang in there. We're almost there. One more breath. Good. Down dog. Walk out your feet, shake out your head. Inhale the heels high. Out of the mouth, exhale the heels down. Do it again. Inhale, heels up. Exhale, heels down. Bend the knees, look to the top of the mat. Walk or jump your feet up so the big toes come together to touch. Bend your knees quite deeply. And then hover the fingertips off of the mat by an inch. You're coming into a deeper rooted chair pose. It almost feels as if the upper body is resting on your thighs, but you're hovering it just by an inch, okay? Set those shoulders down and back. At any point in time, you could bend the knees deeper, or you could straighten the legs out and then just come back into the pose. Find a focus point. Soften your toes so you're not gripping the mat, nor are you gripping the teeth. If you'd like a challenge, hover the heels now off of the mat by an inch. You're here for 5, 4, 3, heels down, stand up, reach the arms high, squeeze the glutes at the top and lean back, palms to prayer on an exhale. Shoulders up to the earlobes, inhale. Out of the mouth. Do that again, shoulders up. Beautiful. Simply step the right leg back. It's not a warrior one posture, it's half of it. Right toes are facing diagonal, left toes are facing forward, and the heels are still about hips width, so you have space. You're going to pull that left hip back a few times, and then you're going to set it in place so your hips are square to the top of the mat. Palms can stay on the hips, or you could take them behind the back, and then slowly start to hinge the upper body forward. Our goal here is to try to keep the legs straight. Now, if you can, your palms are coming to the mat. Perhaps you've got blocks that you could set your palms on if the depth isn't there today. And then just take the eye line to look toward the shin. Holding that deepest point here for a few breaths. Allow gravity to take you a little bit deeper into set. Keep being mindful of pulling that left hip bone back. Inhale, re-lengthen your spine. Back is straight. 3 more breaths and then we're going to round out for 5. Try to take your forehead toward your kneecap, rounding forward. You're here for 5. 4, 3. Good. Perch up onto the fingertips, flat back, look forward, palms to the hips. You're standing it back up. Step the right leg forward, bounce out through the hips a little bit, and then come into a tree with that right leg. Hover it off of the mat by an inch. Open up that knee to the side. You could take the you could take the foot onto the calf, palms to prayer, or you could take the heel up toward the inner thigh, and then just finding a focus point. You're welcome to reach the arms overhead. If your balance feels quite off, you've got perhaps a wall right beside you. You're here for 2 more breaths. Just finding that still point. Maintaining mindfulness. Palms to prayer. Release that right leg down. Bounce to the knees, arms up. Inhale. Palms to prayer. 2 more sun breaths. Just like that. Bounce to the knees, arms up. Inhale. Palms to prayer. Good. 1 more. Stepping that left leg back, switching sides, pulsing that right hip. Hips are square to the top of the mat. Inhale, lifting up through the chest, and you're mindfully moving forward. You're not rushing through these postures. Whenever that mind wanders, it's a moving type of meditation, right? You're acknowledging your thoughts, you're acknowledging sometimes the emotions that come up. And then you're just simply constantly bringing yourself right back into the moment. So trying to let go of any kind of labeling or judging or too much mind wandering, especially right now. Eyes toward the shins. And you're just focusing on the sensations that you feel in the body, maintaining complete presence in this moment in time. Okay, about 2 more breaths before we round out. Try to re-straighten through the spine. Keep those knees straight. Try not to hyperextend or lock them out. And then 5 more breaths. Chin toward the chest, forehead toward the kneecap. Inhale, flat back, palms to the hips. Slowly bring yourself upright, stepping that left leg forward. Bounce out through those hips a little bit, and you're coming into your tree. So bending at that left knee. Start by finding your balance point, hovering the foot off of the mat by an inch, and then slowly building it up. Whatever your pose may look like. Good, 3 more breaths. Palms to prayer. Slowly releasing that left foot down. 3 sun breaths. Bounce to the knees, arms up, inhale. Palms to prayer in front of the heart. 2 more. Inhale, nice deep full breath into the upper part of the rib cage, and then expelling your breath out. Final one, moving at your own pace. We're going to take a sun salutation to flush it out. Classic set. Inhale the arms up. Forward fold, hinging from the hips, reaching for the mat. Palms to the shins, flat back, inhale. Walk or step your feet back into a high plank pose. You could drop down to the knees if you need it, and then take that flush set vinyasa. Squeezing your glutes in that upward dog, down dog for 2 breaths. We're going to go through 4 more back to back. So find a flow set, find a pace that works for you. Bend the knees, look to the top of the mat. Walk or jump your feet up. Flat back on that inhale. Forward fold on your exhale. Stand it up, inhale, sweep the arms overhead. Palms to prayer in front of the heart. Exhale. Bounce to the knees, inhale, arms up. Second set, hinging from those hips, diving forward, flat back on an inhale. High plank pose, set it up. Take an extra breath in before you lower down on an exhalation. Up dog, glute squeeze. Down dog on your exhale. Bend the knees, look forward, walk or jump your feet. Flat back, breathe in. Forward fold, breathe out. Inhale to rise. Come back to your reset, palms to prayer. Good, keep going, inhale, flowing with your breath, and just trust how your body moves in space. Every day is going to be entirely different, so if you need to take any kind of modifications, if you just want to take one flow set, then perhaps you just stay in that high plank to low, up dog to down dog. Yes, you are continuing to flow. You've got 2 more full cycles, just moving at your own pace. You could take that micro breath in, down dog, before you walk or jump your feet up. And then just continue getting into your final round. You're finishing at the top of the mat in that closing position where the palms are in prayer in front of the heart, and everybody's going to be at a different pace. So when you get into that standing pose, close the eyes and just hold. Preparing for your next add-on. You're welcome to grab a little bit of water at this time. Maybe take the palms to the lower back for a quick stretch, or just maintaining a standing Tadasana pose where the forearms and palms face forward until the next clip plays.